The electrician visit. What is that?
There was a wound in the left wrist and a fractured finger on the right
I do
hand.
remember one thing about this. I do remember them saying that the problem with some of these forensics things is that they're not always the most intuitive things, and so it can be a little bit hard to grasp. I do remember them saying that.
This seems odd because...
Dominant hand was used. Knife was in an injured hand. That is a pretty hard thing to do, is to use an injured hand to wield a knife.
Yes, the deceased would have had to hold the knife in his injured hand to cut his left wrist. Then he would have had to cut deep enough to sever the artery, putting pressure on his broken finger.
Which would have been almost, not impossible, but extremely difficult.
Even if he was right-handed, this situation just doesn't add up.
Hello, Dr. Kimishima.
Oh, there we go.
Cut the small talk. What do you want?
So cold. HQ's questioned the electrician that the neighbor mentioned. I've sent you the recordings.
I think that's what we need.
It seems HQ already knew who he was, so there wasn't a problem.
Now we'll find out why that electrician went to the deceased's room.
Reason for entering room has been added to the recorder. Let's check that. You seem like a murderous type of fellow. The electrician who visited Dennis's room the day of the incident. He was asked about what happened that day.
Yes? Yes, that's right.
Probably wants to wait until he says anything of substance before I start making comments.
A murder? Yes, that's fine.
Seems surprised, a typical reaction.
A murder? He said his air was broken and needed to be fixed.
He fixed the air. We should focus on that.
Air repair.
There's nothing odd about having a repairman come to work on the ventilation system.
Yeah, I wasn't sure quite why she picked on that. But I mean, maybe something to keep in mind, but I don't know if I would have made a card for that.
But, at the very least, Dennis was still alive when the electrician...
Oh yeah, you're right. That's probably something important to keep in mind for trying to determine a time of death.
We need to learn about the deceased's condition at that time.
Dennis's status. Let's investigate that some more, shall we?
Yes? Oh. A murder? He said his air was... That was around noon, I think? I got the call earlier that day.
Noon. Okay, that's a good time marker.
Yes. He said he needed it fixed that day, so I went straight there when I finished the job I was doing.
So we went to the deceased place directly from his previous job.
Yeah, it was really quick. All I had to do was swap out a cable.
Just a cable swap? I suppose that's not an unusual problem. Or is it?
Right. I think I was only there for about an hour.
Just an hour, so there's quite a gap between when he left and when the fire started in the room.
Yes, I fixed his heater.
You repaired the heater at this time of year? It's been a warm spring. Why would you... Normally heaters aren't fixed until like fall or winter. Because you never use it. Wonder why.
The customer?
Has to do with how the victim was acting the day of the incident. I should pay attention.
The customer? Well, the way he looked, I wouldn't be surprised if he committed suicide.
Why
It
so?
wouldn't be surprising if the deceased committed suicide. Sounds like an important detail.
Like maybe he looked really down in the dumps, kinda? Dennis seemed depressed.
Does that mean the deceased had a motive for killing himself?
It's an important thing to bring up, I'm sure. Let's try sorting through the information. The electrician said that Dennis seemed depressed when they met on the day of the incident. What does that have to do? No. Oh, I guess we can combine these two, right? Yes, these
Yes,
pieces
these
do
pieces of
seem to go
information
together.
do go together. On the day of the incident, the electrician had been asked to repair the deceased's air. The electrician went to the deceased's room at noon and left after finishing his work. Both the deceased's neighbor and the electrician himself agree on this.
So we can pretty much say that that's truth at this point, yeah. Seems depressed. Can we do anything else with this?
The last time the deceased was
whoa.
seen alive was...
I accidentally combined two and got something and skipped some text and you can't go back. Maybe with a cleverly timed pause I can make you guys able to read that. And the information at hand, the latest time Dennis was seen alive was... Let's see... Yeah, between noon and 1. That's all we've got so far. Excellent reasoning.
That's right. At that time, he seemed...
He seemed depressed.
Yes. This comes from the electrician's testimony. The last time we believe the deceased could have been alive is...
2? No.
Concentrate.
Was it 3? I think 3. There we go. Dennis's condition.
Indeed. The neighbor reports hearing a sound from the room at that time. Within an hour after that, a fire started in his room. The deceased was later discovered dead. That's all we know at this point.
Gathered quite a bit of information. Should I try sorting through it all now? Some of these look like I'll be able to learn more by asking Little Guy about them. I'll also speak to the investigator using the computer. Yeah, I know.
Hey, little guy. I want to go through the information that we've gathered so far.
All right, let's piece it all together step by step.
Let's do that.
The deceased, Dennis Taylor, was found dead in his apartment. Let's see. His body was discovered because...
Funny noises. A fire. Mostly a fire.
Yes, but by the time firefighters arrived on the scene, the fire had already gone out. His corpse was found on the bed.
That's right. The FBI and police initially ruled this case as a suicide. The reason for that was...
The knife and the slashed wrist. The corpse was wearing a shirt.
That's correct.
And that's perfect
The other
reasoning
reason
right
was...
there. The door was locked. So we kind of have a closed room situation here.
Indeed, the slashed wrist and the chained door point towards suicide. It would seem he was so desperate for death that he would both slit his wrist and set his room on fire.
What a classic death scenario.
That isn't a surprising conclusion.
The knife blade does match the shape of the wound in the wrist. The blood on the blade matches his DNA. Lastly, the deceased's fingerprints were found on the handle of the knife.
Those are all true, but there was something odd about that wound on his wrist. First,
No pain reaction to the wounds.
another point is,
The knife was in his right hand.
his finger was fractured. Would he have been able to use a knife with a wounded hand?
Maybe, but
It's very unlikely.
it's unlikely.
But that's not the only thing that raises doubt. If he did die of the knife wound, he would have bled to death. However, investigating the corpse points to a different cause of death.
Yep, are we finding that he didn't bleed very
That
much?
is,
Hemorrhaging in his eyes. Excellent reasoning.
That's right, the petechia on the eyes, and the strange bruise on his abdomen.
Yeah, how about
There's
that
more than
bruise?
enough evidence to doubt that this was
I think
a
that
suicide.
bruise is important.
but according to the electrician's statement, the victim seemed like he might be in a state to commit suicide.
Maybe he was on some sort of drug?
Indeed. There are too many uncertainties to be able to draw a conclusion at this point. I'm going to have to investigate the scene for myself. Little guy, get me approval to enter the area.
Oh, Understood. You shouldn't have a problem, Dr. Kimishima. I'm sure my bosses will approve you right away.
Yes, but I don't intend to waste any time. I'm going there right now. You deal with the rest on your end.
Crime scene is now available to investigate. I was kind of curious how we were planning on doing any of this without, you know, the actual crime scene on hand. Alright, let's exit. I may be able to gather more information if I visit the actual crime scene. I should leave this room and go to the crime scene now. Man, these missions take a while. I mean, I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong, but these missions do take a while, don't they? I'm already at like 50 minutes now. Now I need to begin investigating the scene. Okay, scrolls, A zooms, B zooms. Hey there. It's a pinup poster. I suppose this is the kind of woman he liked. Huh. Nothing in particular seems to catch my attention here. We have different investigating tools?
Who's this in the picture? The deceased's friend? I see. I was so caught up in the case that I didn't check the man's background. Hello, little guy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Did you need something, Dr. Kimishima?
Yes. Can you do me a favor and look into the deceased's friends? I'm going to send you a picture right now. Try getting a hold on whoever that is.
All right. Is there anything in particular you'd like us to find out?
Let's see. First, about the deceased himself. It'd be great to find out more about the day of the incident.
All right. I'll make preparations to have them questioned. I'll send you the recordings of their answers, so please check the recorder.
Good. I'm glad you can get on this so quickly. I'll be counting on you.
I'm digging this music. Okay, very disorganized drawers. Not a big fan of organization, I see. Not necessarily suspicious
this is where
in itself.
The deceased's corpse was. If this bloodstain is his blood, then...
It appears Dennis, the position he had died was on his back. Bloodstains on bed?
Yes. The injury was on his left wrist.
Well, we kind of knew that
From
already.
the position of the bloodstain, it would appear he was lying face up on the bed. There was only the one bloodstain, so he didn't move around much after his wrist was slit. If this truly is a suicide, that would mean that he bled to death here. However, the amount of hemorrhaging here seems to be too small for a man to completely bleed
That's
out.
what I was thinking. This seems like he was cut after death. In which case, only a small amount of blood from the local area would have actually drained there, rather than being, you know, pumped out as someone was dying. Very suspicious. There are bloodstains on this bed. What about this lamp? That seems suspicious to me. Just saying. So obviously we have the fire. Check that in a moment. We have that chain. Something up there. What's up with this thing here? The bent up fan in the chair. That seems suspicious.
This is a table. Now that I look closely, the burns are most severe right here. What was burning
And
here?
that was one thing I wanted to know. What burned?
If I send this for analysis, I might find out what was on fire on the table.
Maybe the table got kicked over from on top of the chair? That should be something we should investigate. What about this chair? What's up with this fan?
It's the ceiling fan. There's a speed selector and a timer. One of the blades seems to be broken, though.
This is odd because it's not fan season. I can't really tell the newness of the fan. Repairman came that day. Not exactly. Was that it? Okay. I guess. He did fix the heater, so that had nothing really to do with the fan.
The electrician had supposedly come to fix the air. I need to review his testimony to confirm what he actually
Well, he went to
fixed.
fix the heater. Where's the heater? That's a light switch. About the fire on the roof. That's not suspicious up there? Okay. Door chain? Seems rather fancy for this place. Okay, I guess that's all we're gonna find out for now. Let's go back to the office. Dr. Kimishima, I forgot to tell you. We interrogated the man in the photo that was found in the victim's room. As usual, I've transferred the voice data over to you. Please use the recorder to review the interview. Alright, this conversation is about the victim's acquaintances, right? He may have some valuable information for us. At least information regarding the victim on the day of the incident. I should keep my ears open while I listen to it. Let's, said he wanted to re-listen. It's like, what was fixed? Do we need to go back to the part where he was talking about...
Yes.
The heater?
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, apparently that's not important. Oh well. We'll still listen to the friends. James Morton was asked about the victim, how the victim had acted before his death. Anything like suicide going on?
What you want, man? Why are you calling me out here?
You know what, punk kid? He seems to be in a bad mood. I'm not surprised. Those interviewers can be overbearing.
Huh? You want to talk about Dennis? You're better off asking his girlfriend.
This has to do with the deceased acquaintances. I have to remember this.
Her name's, Stella. Yeah, she's at the club down on Roulette Street.
Club on Roulette Street. Her name's Stella.
Yeah, she can probably tell you more about Dennis than I can.
Nothing unusual.
Yeah, she can probably tell you... Yeah, she... That guy, huh? No, nothing. He's a friend of mine, you know? I don't hate him.
So he's a friend of the deceased.
We'd been drinking together the night before he died, after all. He did seem pretty flush recently, if you know what I mean.
So Dennis had money. Oh, is that what flush means? I didn't know.
He called me up out of the blue and said he'd pick up the tab that night.
Then Dennis is the one who invited his friend out.
That wasn't really important. It was just how he normally brags.
Bragging? That doesn't seem like the usual behavior of someone who would commit suicide the next day. That is true. Suicidal people aren't normally that bragging.
That wasn't really important. He was all proud of this red Portland Jacks t-shirt he was wearing, too.
A Portland Jacks t-shirt. If he was telling the truth, the victim was wearing that shirt on the day of the incident.
But he was wearing a white shirt. Did he change it, possibly? Maybe was that what was burned?
In any case, after hearing this testimony, it seems hard to believe that the deceased would have committed suicide.
Yeah. So why was he so different when the electrician
That
visited?
reminds me. The man said in his interview that the deceased had a girlfriend.
Assuming the electrician wasn't lying.
I wonder if HQ knows who she is. This is worth asking Little Guy about.
Yes, did you call Dr. Kimishima?
I need you to look into somebody for me. A woman named Stella Abbott.
Oh, the deceased's girlfriend? Well, technically his ex...
That doesn't matter. Can you find her?
We already have. HQ's just finished questioning her. Oh, should I send you the recording?
No.
Please. Now, if you don't mind. I feel like I'm getting closer to understanding who Dennis Taylor really is.
We'll take a look at that in a moment. What can we learn here? Oh, good. More. Now let's try sorting through the information that's been gathered so far. Yep. Can we compare these?
This does raise some doubts. The electrician supposedly came to the victim's room to fix his air.
Yeah, they keep referring to air, and that seems suspicious, but I'll drop it for now.
But he didn't repair the ceiling fan?
That's not exactly an electrician's job, is
Or
it?
did the fan break after the electrician had left?
Electrician's activity.
In any case, I'll need to hear his account again.
Okay, Okay, so I guess we will be listening to that again. Analyze that for me. Yes, of course. What's this? I've collected some of the remains of the fire. Can you find out what started the fire? I can't promise anything, but I'll send it to the lab. I'll contact you once the results come back, so please continue with your investigation. Doesn't seem to be enough for him to bled to death. It doesn't.
This is a blood stain. One moment, please. I did some quick calculations. A stain of that size would take about 800 milliliters of blood.
The average adult male would have to lose at least 1,500 milliliters in order to bleed to death.
So seems a little bit less than likely. Maybe something that would have eventually led to death, but not from the actual, spot there.
This means that
he might not have bled to death. That's not blood! Ugh.
well, the amount of blood loss required varies from person to person, so this isn't quite proof.
Very true, and obviously, if there was something wrong with him, like say, he had gotten, I don't know, he donated blood, he might be at risk of, dying from even less blood loss than normal.
It is unusual, though. I'll have to remember it.
He's got a favored shirt. He wasn't wearing that. So maybe we'll take a look at that in a bit. Let's go listen to the recorder. Something's not right. According to the victim's friend, the victim was wearing a t-shirt on the day he died. I may be able to learn something new from the information I've gained here. Should take another look at the victim's personal effects. Indeed we will, in a bit. Okay, so we've got to listen to him again. What was fixed?
Yes? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Each different, even though it's all the same testimony, we're asking different questions.
Yes, I fixed his heater. Yes.
He fixed the heater. Something about
Yeah,
that
why the
seems
heater out
odd.
of all things? Don't know anything about the heater. It's too hot to need the heater. There's nothing odd about it. This seems odd because there's nothing odd about it. Did he maybe use the heater to start a fire somehow?
Yes, the deceased's neighbor mentioned that. Summer is already starting. And yet, on the day of the incident, the deceased wanted to have his heater repaired? There's something strange about this after all.
Not conclusive, but strange. Yep, we'll go investigate that. Dennis' friend mentioned what he's been wearing. Well, it's very much not a red shirt, whatever it
That
was.
reminds me. Someone mentioned the clothing that the deceased was wearing on the day of the incident. That's odd. There's nothing that stands out about the clothing. Somebody said something about what the deceased had been wearing.
I wonder who could have said something like that. Yeah, I think we're done here. We just needed to grab that. I'm digging the music here. It's good. Okay, so let's compare these.
Something about this shirt is bothering me.
It's a different color, right? Changed clothes.
That's right. The deceased was apparently wearing a red t-shirt on the day of the incident. Did he change after he got home? Or was there some reason for changing his shirt?
And these two, no. Why did he repair the heater still? It just seems weird. We have a chromatographic scan performed on those ashes. So we still need to keep investigating. Ah,
Dr. Kimishima, did you receive the voice data?
I think I did.
From the deceased's girlfriend? Have you sent it?
You should be able to listen to it using the recorder. Please listen to it when you can.
Right. First, I want to know about the deceased's source of income.
It did seem fairly well off for somebody without a steady job.
Indeed. I'll be listening for that while I'm going over the recording.
Victim's lover account. Dennis's income. Oh, hey there. Yeah.
Seriously? What do you guys want?
I'm sure I'd be in a bad mood if I was interviewed by the FBI without warning too. How does that process even work? Do they, like, ask you if you can be interviewed, or do they say you have to be interviewed? I mean, it is the government, so do they just kind of get to do that? And I'm kind of curious about the implications of something like that.
I've got work to do, so let's get this over with.
Hopefully she'll have something useful to share.
Huh? Dennis? You mean Dennis Taylor?
Does seem that she knows him.
Wow, that name brings back bad memories. We broke up years ago.
So he wasn't in a relationship with him when he died, then.
Yeah, at first I thought he was an interesting guy, pretty cool and all. But he never had a job, and he just kind of wandered through life.
Never had a job. It's interesting.
Oh, but he always had money. I'm sure he didn't come by it honestly. Are you really this slow? Don't you get it?
Let's hear it.
Drugs. He was a drug dealer.
Ah.
The deceased's been holding on to quite a secret.
And that's probably an important thing. Someone maybe wanted him dead.
I'm going to have to change the way I approach this case.
And this is income.
Let's go through the information we have, now that we know the deceased's true identity. Unbelievable. The deceased had this hidden dark side to him.
This is looking more and more like a case worth investigating. If Dennis Taylor was a drug dealer, then there could be a variety of reasons to kill him.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Still, I can't let my prejudices cloud the truth. I need to remain objective. However, it seems that we're going to have to change our views regarding this case.
Right. I'll prepare the CSI's ALS.
ALS, the advanced light source that can adjust the wavelength being emitted?
That's right. An object's visibility depends on the light being reflected from that object. The ALS lets you select a particular wavelength to focus only on what you want to see.
And how is this helpful?
Or hide what you don't want to see.
Huh? Oh, no.
I'll try using it. Thanks, little guy.
How is this helpful? Is this for, like, examining the corpse? Oh, the light. Oh, I see. Gotcha. So maybe we should go investigate some more, I think? Or, maybe we can... Anything else that needs to be looked at? Okay, nah. Let's go check. Let's go check the scene again with the fancy light. Since we've now gotten that released to us, this high-tech piece of equipment. Now we need to begin investigating the scene. The ALS light source is useful for examining crime scenes. Tilt left while zoomed in, then press A to use it. Oh, I guess I don't have all the tools until they give them to me. It can help reveal clues not visible to the human eye. It's a vital tool in solving cases. Sure, let's go. Anything worth noting around here? Whoa! What's that?
There's white powder scattered on the floor. It looks like there are footprints in it.
Like maybe a drug or
I
something?
can guess at what this powder is, but I should send it in for analysis just in case.
Yeah. Alright, anything else? Whoa, what's that?
This powder on the floor seems to trail behind the shelf. Bingo.
Hello?
There's more of that powder inside this hole in the wall.
Maybe where he kept his stash?
What an obvious place for a hiding spot. Mr. Taylor wasn't all that clever.
And that's why he died. hidden hole in a wall. Sure. I'm gonna take your word on that because otherwise I'll probably be looking in here for nothing for a while.